Ladies and gentlemen, I have Mr. Brandon and Mr. Titus. They're the men behind Buendia. I used to call it Buenita until they corrected me. Buendia. They're the men behind Buendia, which is 100% agave. It's a Blanco tequila, and it's really, really clean tasting. And, I'm going to drink it and enjoy it, and y'all are going to have to watch me. Y'all can't have it. So, if you want to just introduce yourself, just take it from there.
Okay. I'm Brandon, co-founder of Buendia Tequila.
And I'm Titus. Thanks for having us, Kurt. Definitely excited to be on here and share with you guys a little bit about Buendia and our passion behind it.
Yeah, why don't you guys go into your background briefly?
So I grew up in Sacramento, born and raised Sacramento, went to Sacramento State for college. While in college, I had a couple businesses that I started. So I've always been very entrepreneurial. After college, I ended up joining the Air Force, moving overseas. But after that time, moved back to California. I got into the insurance business and then later into real estate investing.
And I was born in Santa Clara, the Bay Area out here in California. We moved to the Sacramento area. Was raised in Folsom. Went to school in Davis, UC Davis, and then came back to Folsom and started a family here and just this business and just ready to move forward with it.
Nice.
We started the company about 3 years ago. Titus actually came up with the idea of tequila business. So he called me up about 3 years ago and pitched the idea to me. And I mean, honestly, it made sense. Like right off the bat, I was on board because for one, I really like the spirits industry, wanted to be involved. Tequila is my drink of choice, and I love Mexico, everything Mexican. So those three things, I was like, yeah, let's do it. Titus pitched us the idea. After that, we began brainstorming the design, the name, which distillery to use. A year later, we were in Mexico, actually at the distillery that we had chosen to make our tequila, and we were creating our flavor profile. And so we wanted our tequila to be agave forward. We wanted to be smooth, made in a traditional way. We wanted a quality product, no additives. And then about 6 months later, we were winning awards. We've got a couple other competitions coming up. So basically, with those awards, we felt like kind of validated our tequila is good. We did a good job at what we've been working on for the previous 2+ years.
Wow, congratulations. 6 months and you're already winning awards.
Just wanted to add to that. And I think, we're definitely excited to be in this space. It definitely fits us and who we are. I actually met Brandon in high school while in Mexico. We were out there just helping out, building homes. And I always make the joke also that he's more Mexican than I am because whenever we go to the taco stands, he's just dumping sauce on it. And, I love hot food, but he just takes it to another level. Same thing with tequila. He just likes to sip it neat. Even makes his own pozole.
Yeah, when I was a chef, I used to add some tequila to my ceviche.
Oh, nice.
Oh, okay.
That sounds
interesting.
Good.
Yeah.
We can try that.
Yes. Okay. So give us just a basic lesson on how tequila is made.
Sure. I'll start us off. The quick thing is a lot of people are surprised to find out that just for the basic Blanco, it's already takes a few years to make just because the agaves have to grow. Ours, we harvest at between 8 to 10 years. We want to make sure that the sugar concentration is at the optimum. Brix is the count for the sugar concentration, and so we wait till it's at that perfectly right moment. So our master distiller actually oversees the process from the beginning to the end, and we don't take any shortcuts. And we like to use a blend of the Highland agaves and the Lowland agaves. They each have their unique traits. So the Lowlands is actually known for the earthier flavors, the earthier taste and aromas, and the Highlands have a sweeter taste and sweeter aromas. So we like to blend them and give it a unique combination.
After the agaves are harvested, it's got to go through a cooking process, which is also known as hydrolysis. And so We use both traditional brick ovens and also the autoclaves. And so basically, we like the combination. We like the combination of lowlands and highlands, and we like the combination of using both brick ovens and the autoclaves. And so in the traditional brick ovens, we roast them for 36 hours. So this is pretty similar to brands like Fortaleza. That's a very good traditional tequila. And then with the autoclaves, it's basically like a pressure cooker. And so we use it on a low pressure. So we basically use it as an oven. And we cook ours for 16 hours. And this creates a more consistent cooking process. It creates a more complex flavor profile. Whereas the brick ovens has a stronger or sweeter agave flavor to them. So some of the brands that use this, the autoclaves for the hydrolysis are Don Fulano and Calle 23, which are also very good tequilas.
I noticed on your website you use Blue Weber agave. Is there more than one type of blue agave, or is it just blue agave is blue agave?
Yeah, so basically with tequilas, they originally started as mezcals, and so they used a variety of different agaves. But they found that the Weber agave, the Blue Weber agave, came to like peak ripeness sooner, and I'm assuming they also the flavor profile they preferred, and so that's the one that they chose to start basically like farming, doing agriculture of just the Blue Weber agave. It just makes a better tequila. But there's a lot of mezcals out there that are using all the other different types of agaves. I think there's something like 180 different agaves that are grown in Mexico. But to be a tequila, it's got to be a Blue Weber agave.
What's real quick? What's the difference? Remind me again. What's the difference between mezcal and tequila?
Tequila has to come from Tequila, Jalisco, or actually there's a few designated regions that are also permitted. So similar to like cognac, which has to come from Cognac, France, or Champagne has to come from Champagne, France. Have that name, so it's the meaning of origin. So technically, tequila is a mezcal, but a mezcal isn't a tequila. So it's in the mezcal family, but it's very unique in that category.
So and there's also a region called Tequila, right?
Correct. There's a city in Jalisco, in Mexico, that is called Tequila, and that's actually where our distillery is in Tequila, Jalisco.
I would love, when I'm filling out an application or something, I would love to be able to put for my city Tequila. That'd be pretty cool. Yeah,
no, it is, for sure. The next process is juicing the agaves, and traditionally there was a Tahona stone, which is a big, heavy rock that rolls in a circle, and it crushes the agave to get the juices out. But with modern technology, there's a roller mill that was created that just helps the process go a little smoother. So we definitely embrace the technology aspect on that. There's a few other big brands that are on the same page. We're all for tradition, but in this case, it just allows it to be pressed a little better. Brandon gives the example of using mint in a cocktail. So you can put mint in, it's not fully pressed, but if you were to muddle it, it releases certain aromas and flavors. So it helps just bring out the agave flavors when it's pressed more evenly and fuller.
Yeah, like Titus said, we're using roller mills because it's a more efficient process. You're getting more of the juice, more of the sugars out, and it's just more. There's more flavor to it than if you're using a traditional Tahona.
Oh, okay. So technology is helping you get more out of it.
Yes. So I mean, we're trying to stay with a lot of the traditional techniques, but when it comes to the crushing of the agaves, it just makes sense to go with the roller mills. After collecting the juices from during this crushing process, going through the roller mills. We send the juice, it goes into basically stainless steel vats for open air fermentation. And we have our own proprietary yeast that we use, and it ferments for 2 to 3 days. Then after fermentation, the juice moves into stainless steel pot stills. So basically after the distillation processes, since we're distilling it twice, and you're bringing that alcohol, you basically need to get the alcohol level to 40% after the distillation process. And so what we do is we're adding natural spring waters that's collected in wells at our distillery. So that's where we bring our ABV level down to 40%. Because generally, after the second distillation process, you're around, I believe, 55% ABV, and we need to get it down to 40% to bottle it. So, like I said, we're adding the spring water to bring the levels down to 40%. Following the filtration process, following adding the water and getting the ABV to the 40%, we do a couple different filtration processes. So the agave leaves have an oil or a wax on them. And so your tequila will have basically oils in the tequila that you can see when it gets into like colder regions. And so we do a chill treatment, basically a cold filtration process to remove these oils. So you're bringing the tequila down to -2 degrees Fahrenheit. You filter out these oils, and so that makes for basically a crystal clear tequila, basically no matter what environment you're in. So this is something that like Calle 23, like I mentioned before, it's one of the processes they do. And Calle 23 is actually owned by a French biochemist, Sophie, and she started in the cognac industry. And then she had this love for tequila. And so she ended up moving to Mexico and starting this Calle 23. So she's a master distiller there. But anyways, that's the same process that they go through there. And basically there's a way to remove the oils without removing the flavors. So that's the first filtration process we do. The second one is we do a cellulose filtration process, which is basically it's like using a coffee filter to filter your tequila out. And this is, again, similar to Don Fulano and also El Tesoro, the same cellulose filtration process.
What's different about yours?
Yeah, so basically what makes us different is a combination of the techniques I just went over, the steps, the processes that we use to make our tequila. First off, having the 8 to 10-year-old agaves instead of like a normal 5 to 6-year-old agaves. Also the combination of the lowlands and the highlands. And then again, a combination of brick ovens and autoclaves. We like this combo of flavors and cooking processes. And then the roller mills, open air fermentation, and the pot still distillation. So it's basically a combination of all these steps, including having natural spring water that we're adding to our tequila. We don't use any additives. So basically it's a combination of these steps that makes our tequila unique.
We wanted a well-rounded product. One of the final steps was a certain filtration process that eliminates some of the headache-causing elements from tequila and certain tequilas.
What are some of the headache-causing elements of tequila?
It's aldehydes. Aldehydes is what causes headaches, and so we're able to filter out the aldehydes.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, and so with the diffusers, like what Titus was talking about, what a lot of large distilleries are doing is they're taking basically the underripe agaves, using diffusers to basically do the whole process. It basically it's a one-stop like conveyor belt that does everything, the whole process of shredding. And I don't even think I think it's kind of a backwards process. I believe they do the cooking after the agaves are shredded. So anyways, they produce basically a not a very good flavored tequila. And then they go ahead and like filter out basically any kind of tequila flavors that are in there. And then they add additives to basically create the flavors. So when you're tasting it, it's not anything that came from the agaves. You're not having any kind of like natural agave flavors in there. It's just additives that you're tasting. Because the CRT actually, they have certain limits that you're allowed to add. So with the Blancos, which is supposed to be, I would say, like the least additive of the expressions, they still allow up to 1% of additives or 0.3 grams per liter. So they could be adding different flavors in there. And then when you get into the reposados and añejos, the limit goes up to 4%. So a lot of tequilas out there actually have quite a bit of additives in there that you might not be aware of unless you're tasting, you're comparing a additive-free tequila next to a tequila that has additives, and you're tasting tequilas off, and then you start to notice it when you're tasting it. So especially like with blancos, if you taste vanilla in there, a blanco doesn't have vanilla naturally in there. So if you're tasting vanilla, that's an additive. If you're tasting a reposado that tastes like there's some vanilla in there, that's coming from the oak barrels. So that makes sense. So it's kind of like one way that you can tell when you're drinking a tequila that has additives in it.
So basically a Blanco, if it's made without additives, you really shouldn't taste any kind of like different flavors.
Correct. It should be agave flavored. It's the essence of agave. It's the natural agave flavors that you have in there. So that's kind of like your base flavor. You're supposed to be tasting agaves, and when you get into the reposados and añejos, then you take that really good base that you have. That you took like 8 to 10 years growing your agave. You got this really good agave flavor, and then you're adding some oak to it. So the oak is supposed to enhance the flavor, not be its own flavor profile. So lots of times I like to give like a description to say basically, if you're looking at a picture and you got this picture on a wall and it looks really nice, that's your Blanco. Then you add a frame to it, just like a simple frame to it. That's the reposado. And then you put a nicer, fancier frame around it, and that's your añejo. And then you add some little decorations to your frame, and then that's your extra añejo. So it's all still framing your Blanco. So that still should be like your base flavor. It's not supposed to be just overpowered with the oak that's and the flavors that are coming from the oak barrels. Yeah, so the Blanco's basically it hasn't been in oak barrels, hasn't been aged. There is a certain limit that the CRT allows. You can actually put it in oak barrels for no more than 60 days. So once it's in for 60 days, then it turns into a reposado. Reposado means rested. But there are some tequilas out there that are Blancos out there that have sat in oak barrels for a little bit. And they don't look, you can tell when you're drinking it, they don't look crystal clear. They're going to kind of have a straw color to them. So they picked up a little bit of the oak coloring, a little bit of the flavors from the oak. But generally the Blanco hasn't been in oak barrels. Reposado is 60 days up to, technically there is no max on it, but most people see it as 60 days to a year that's been resting in oak barrels. And then añejo is aged for over a year.
Okay. How about, so looking at the question. Now, did you want to talk more about your brand, promote your brand? Or...
Yeah, Titus, why don't you go into the bottle design, the branding?
Sure. So, Buendia, obviously now we know it means good day. In Spanish, it's used as a greeting. We want everybody to have a good day. So we thought it'd be pretty marketable. It's pretty common also for people here in the States to know that term or to be able to pronounce it. So we wanted something that's easy but still true to the roots. The eagle logo that we have here, it's obviously on the Mexican flag. So and it has a lot strong ties to the U.S. with freedom and just being our national bird, as well as Brandon being in the Air Force. He was a crew chief and worked on the F-15 Eagle, which is kind of like a tip of the hat to Brandon. And we like that it symbolizes that, and there's a lot to it, a lot behind it. So yeah. As far as the bottle design itself, we ended up doing a clear glass top with a silicone ring. Just felt that it was a cleaner aesthetic. With some of the corks, you can lose some of the contents. It can change the flavor sometimes, and sometimes you'll have sediments. But originally we wanted just to look a little cleaner. But that's the top.
This is one of my favorite things about your design. The bottle looks great, but when I took it off, I'm like, oh, I've never seen that before.
Yeah, no, so it's a little cleaner look, and we like the feel of it too, and it's just also a little more premium. We want to target all basically all sorts of drinkers. Specifically, we're coming after the vodka drinkers. We want that premium, clean look, and stay away kind of from the classic traditional, shorter, stubbier bottle, wooden tops. Kind of gives it a more modern, more younger look and feel.
Oh, that makes sense. If you're going after the vodka drinkers, you put it in that kind of bottle. Okay, now, yeah. Actually, when I saw the bottle, because I've done a lot of events when I worked in hotels, I could imagine this lined up on a bar, and underneath you've got like colored like a red or blue, or it would look really cool. So if you had just a row of 30 bottles and you had different colored lights, or that would look really cool.
Yeah, so we definitely, I mean, like I said, we definitely want to target the vodka market's the biggest number one selling spirit, but we also want to introduce tequila to everybody. We love tequila, and we believe that there's a market for it, and we're passionate about it, and we're excited to where it could lead. I mean, like you said, it fits in the speed wells, and some of the more, I guess, unique bottles are different shape, oddly shaped, hard to fit in the speed well. This is perfect for bartenders too to hold and pour, and not delicate. So we ended up doing this, as you can tell, that thick glass, so it's not fragile. And that's bottle design.
No, it's great. So here you are. You started a new tequila. Do you mind if you could each tell me, I don't know, one or two of the biggest lessons you learned, whether it be having to do with starting a tequila or starting a business or branding or anything related to this project? Yeah, just to learn from you, what are like one or two of the biggest things you learned from the process of Buendia?
Yeah, first thing I would say is don't start a tequila company or any company during a pandemic. Well, no, it definitely had its hurdles. We've welcomed the challenges. We've had a lot of delays. But one thing I would say is expect a lot of speed bumps. There's especially if you're dealing with importing, we've dealt with different fees and a lot of taxes and just the speed bumps and hiccups that you can imagine any business would have. But with a learning process for us as we go, and
Yeah, to piggyback what Titus just said there, I think the biggest thing is just to expect the unexpected, because there are a lot of difficulties dealing with a different country. There's definitely a language barrier for myself, not so much for Titus, and then the cultural differences. And so there's just a lot of things that come up, delays. Logistics is pretty difficult. Getting tequila from Mexico into California, especially like Titus said, during a pandemic. But that's the biggest thing I would say is expect the unexpected.
So we actually got our first pallets, like I said, from all these delays last year throughout COVID. Like it took us a while even just to get our license with the ABC. So that delayed every other process afterwards. But we got our first pallets in at the end of December 2020. And we've actually just been out here promoting in this local area, Sacramento area, just door knocking really, and meeting with anybody who will give us the time, and we're just getting it out there. You know, we're excited on some of the restaurants. We're getting signature cocktails at some restaurants. Some people are promoting it, and they like the idea that it's local here. We love that too, because we love supporting local, especially during these tough times for all the the entire restaurant industry. And so if there's a way that we can help them, we're obviously all about that and looking to support local as much as we can as well. Just a quick shameless plug. We're available online now at buendiatequila.com.
Cool.
We're also on Instagram at Buendia Tequila, Facebook at Buendia Tequila. Follow us, like us, share.
Yes, I'll do an Instagram post with it too, and
Thank you, Kurt. Really appreciate it.
Thank you again for sharing your beautiful beverage and your knowledge. And it's much appreciated. And I'll stay in touch. And we'll.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Okay. All the best, to you guys.
Thanks for having us, Kurt. Appreciate it.
Take care.